And there is this. An American father says during his final conversation with his own son, who's a Marine, on the phone before his son was killed, Lance Corporal Greg Buckley Jr. told his father he was troubled by the screams he himself could hear coming from boys being sexually abused by Afghan police officers on a U.S. base. So he is with me now. A Marine's father is Greg Buckley Sr. The attorney for the Buckley family is Mike Bowie. Thank you so much for both of you coming on. We have met through the television several times. It is an honor and a privilege to have you on again, sir. And again, I am so sorry about the loss of your son. We talked in 2012, we were covering green on blue attacks.
Yes.
And so that was the context of our conversation. Little did perhaps, certainly not myself or even you really know at the time, connecting some of these dots. So can you just fill me in on some of the conversations, what you're willing to share that you had with your son and what he told you about this abuse?
The abuse goes on, but we are told, and they're told, to look the other way. And it's disturbing to my son, who was only 20 when he went over there. And is that they're not allowed to speak out, they're not allowed to make any moves on it. There was a time, there was 9 little boys that came in with Salwar Jan at the end of July. Then later on that night, the boys disappeared, nobody could find them. So a couple of Marines were told to go look for the boys. And when they walked into Salwar Jan's place, they opened up the door, and they were underneath the covers with these young boys, 8, 9, 12 years old. And they were told by the superior to back out of the room and leave the boys in there. Now that's disturbing when you hear a Marine turn around and tell you a story about this, and the boys were crying. They didn't want to be in there with these old men, and they were told to stay. And he had the Marines back out of there and just walk away and just look the other way and not talk about it.
How many times did your son mention this to you on the phone?
He mentioned a lot of different things to me. The worst thing was that he told me that they were going to murder him over there. And I said, well, I don't understand. He said, they're going to kill me on my base. I feel it.
The they being the Afghans?
The Afghans.
Why did he think
superiors.
that?
They were just bad. He said, Dad, he says, I don't understand this, what we're here, what we're doing. He said, these people, we're trying to help them. And, he got into an altercation one night with one of the superior officers that he kept on repeating in my son's ear while he was on duty at night that they didn't want him there. We don't want you here, we don't want you here.
He obviously knew he was there for a purpose.
Yep.
He, according to you, told you multiple times about some of the sexual abuse, the screams he would hear. Your advice to him as a father was, tell your superiors, right?
Right, and then he said, we did, but there's nothing they can do about it. So it's very frustrating for him, especially, the culture that we raise our children in is like, you don't do things like that. And he wanted to do something, but he's a Lance Corporal, and his hands are tied. And that's what he said. He said, I feel like my hands are tied and I can't do anything about this.
So the person who was convicted of killing your son, how old was he?
They said he was around 16, 17. He was an older T-boy. When they become 16, 17, they released them.
T-boy, that's...
T-boy, sex slaves.
Sex slave, culturally in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that the man who killed your son, a Marine, was one of those who was abused. Yes. Are you connecting the dots that you believe because of this abuse, your son lost his life?
Definitely. He was about 17, so he was about to be released from being a sex slave. And when they're released, they usually have them do an act of violence. And I guess this was the act that he wanted to do. So Salwar Jan, from what we understand, gave him the AK-47 and told him to go into the gym where my son was unarmed, working out with 2 of his other guys, and opened fire on him and shot my son 5 times.
What has the military said to you all?
Nothing. The military has stonewalled, the Marine Corps has stonewalled the Buckleys from the beginning on this for 3 years. And they first went to their Congressman Peter King to get answers when they couldn't, which they're entitled to do. Peter King then reached out to the one Marine who both tried to stave Greg and then get them answers, a Major Jason Bresler, who had previously thrown Salwar Jan off a different base and then wrote up a dossier to commanders to make sure he was never put in that position again. Obviously, those commanders ignored that, put him on Fob Delhi, and then 2 weeks before the murder, Bresler sent an email warning them again. They did nothing about that, and then the murders occurred. When Congressman King reached out to Major Bresler, he did the right thing. He spoke to Congressman King to give him information the Marine Corps wouldn't to help the Buckley family. And then as soon as the Marine Corps found out about that, they instituted proceedings to discharge him from the Marine Corps, much like the Special Forces soldiers. clear retaliation.
Let me get this in. The White House responded. Of course, it was the big New York Times right. I just want to give them credit also where credit is due. In this massive right yesterday morning in the paper, the White House responded. Here's what they said.
Just let me just say that the United States is deeply concerned about the safety and welfare of Afghan boys who may be exploited by members of the Afghan National Security and Defense Forces. This form of sexual exploitation violates Afghan law and Afghanistan's international obligations.
So let me just take that a step further. The Pentagon has since denied that this is a policy. Last hour in a press briefing saying that there is no policy in place. My question is, if the U.S. were to intervene with this sort of behavior, this assault, let's call it what it is, what about other behaviors around the world that the U.S. would disagree with?
I'm really not going to comment on anything else but what I'm focused on. You know, sometimes people get sidetracked here.
I mean, if from our perspective, it's not just anywhere in the world, right? These are people who we are partnering with. They are there under our auspices. We're spending billions of dollars, and most importantly, we're putting our young men in danger to help them. And one of the conditions of that help should be that if you're going to have a police chief or an army soldier who we're going to work with and we're going to protect, that they're not going to engage in conduct that is abhorrent to us. So this has nothing to do about other cultures or anything. We were there. They were there under our auspices, and we shouldn't force any service member to have to be in a situation where they're witnessing that and they feel complicit with that. It is not what our men should be exposed to. It's dangerous enough there, and it's dishonorable. And for them to say we don't have a policy and it's against Afghan law, well, there was no law there. He was the police chief. He was there because we were there. If we weren't there, he wouldn't be there. And so the policy, was there a policy that says it's okay? No. But there certainly wasn't a policy that said, if you see this, do something about it. And no policy about when you see this, we're going to make sure that the Afghans don't put a person like that in place.
I just want to end this hearing again from a father's words. It was an incredibly emotional interview. I remember that we had a couple of years ago, and looking at you in your eyes now, how many years has it been?
3 years.
3 years. And it's still very emotional for you.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
I want my son. My son was taken from me because they made bad decisions. Those boys shouldn't have been allowed inside that base. And Sawar Jan shouldn't have been allowed back in the base. But, you know, our government turned around and made this decision, and they have their rules of engagement that are set up that favor the Afghans and they don't favor the Marines or the soldiers. And it's just heart-wrenching. They wouldn't, you know, take care of my son. My son went over there to protect the United States. The United States didn't take care of my son. They just let him go. You know, they used him as a pawn in a chess game, and I say it all the time. You lose a few pawns, you know, they don't really care, but they destroyed me, my family. And I'm supposed to be okay with it. I'm not. That's why I'm speaking out, and people say you shouldn't speak out, but listen, let the truth be told. This is a terrible, terrible thing that happened to my son. And it keeps on happening, and it's a terrible thing that these young Afghan boys have to go through. You know, being 8 years old and being raped by an animal, you know, that's terrible. And we have to turn around and accept it and just look the other way. My son was, you know, hurt. He's like, Dad, these kids are so cute, and I have to sit here and watch this happen. And he couldn't do anything. And he's afraid that if he does something, he's going to get a, you know, a dishonorable discharge. So he has to turn around and walk away from it. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating for me. And I do feel bad for these young little boys over there. I'm not a hateful man. I hate what they did to me. But I don't hate the boy. You know, he's been abused since he was a little kid. So of course he's going to hate Americans. Because we're not stopping it from happening. So you think about it that way.
Greg Buckley, thank you so much. I am so sorry. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your truth. It's important to get your story and your son's story out there once again. And Mike, I appreciate it. Quick break. We'll be right back.